if you wanted, it was optional to bring it here, but headphones because there's a video portion, but not necessarily need to listen to it.
I don't know about this thing either. I had to take it from the library because they have my computer.
Just as you're waiting, I'm going to use Google Hangouts. I made a group for us. If you don't know what that is, if you open up your Gmail account, there should be something that pops up that says like chat window. So it's Google's chat that they can use. So you can have, it's kind of like WhatsApp. So I'm using that instead of email, just as like to share some links. So I know the title I gave it was, the session was kind of strange. It was kind of on purpose for intrigue or whatever, and I couldn't think of anything else to call it. And I'm actually, when I do it, I'm not going to use a white rectangle, so don't call me out too much. But basically, the idea is trying to engage our students better. So I want to start off with a question. When you teach, could be math, could be anything, could be working with adults. How engaged do you think your students are? And then more importantly, how do you know that they're engaged? So if you just want to have a moment to self-reflect and then share with people sitting next to you.
I know when they're I would hope to know my body language, but I think that's this is his body language. My body language doesn't I think I want 100% engagement. So how was the
All right, I'm going to use the same thing Diane kind of tried to use. When I say class, you say yes, but you have to mimic what I say. So class. Yes. Pretty good. So that'll be my attention kicker. I heard some comments about body language is important, eye contact, maybe the volume of talk as they're speaking, an excitement. Sometimes I wonder if, because I push my kids so hard for eye contact that I wonder sometimes if that's more compliance than engagement. Like just because someone's looking at me, are they actually engaged with me, or with their body language? So I don't know, that's just something that's in my head that I think about. Basically, the objectives, yes. You're going to experience a white rectangle lesson. Again, I made that up. I'll tell you where I got it from. And then you're going to create one, and then we're going to talk about maybe what too mathy means, and think about what else might be too mathy, and then figure out where else we might be able to use this practice that I'm going to show you. I went to the NCTM conference a few weeks ago, and there was just so much stuff. There was so much stuff there that was kind of, awakening. And like, could we close the computers just for the first part because we don't. Just trying to just so much stuff, and I didn't really know what to share. And one of the things that I thought was, I went to Daniel Meyer's session. If you don't know him, he used to be a high school math teacher. He has a really excellent blog. He came up with this thing called like 3-act math. So if you've heard of that before, it's kind of trying to create real world situations where the kids feel compelled to answer it. And he's been on this quest of thinking about, why do kids not care about math? Why does his students completely disengage with stuff? And so it's kind of consumed him, this idea of what is engagement and how can we get our kids to kind of buy in more. And so he went through this whole presentation talking about, like, is real world the key? Is making it personal the key? And I'll have a link to his blog, and he has his whole session from NCTM he recorded, and it's on his blog. So I'm not going to talk a lot about his whole session. I'm not going to recreate that. I want to focus in on one part of it. And so this is something he's been thinking about, and he offered it up. He doesn't know if it's going to work. He's not sure. And so it was kind of like a call to us to see if it to see what we thought about it and see how we could make it work. And so what we're about to do is I gave the same lesson to my students on Wednesday. And so the only background knowledge they might have that you don't have is we've been working with fractions for a long time, for the last month. So that might have been relevant in their head as we proceeded. So, what do you notice?
Yellow.
What do you notice? Talk to someone sitting next to you. What do you notice? What do you think is happening?
They're all less than, the red is all less than
All right, class closed.
Yes.
I heard some ideas about maybe there's two things being measured. Maybe it's boys versus girls. There was something about, I heard like there's a dip going on. Does anyone else have an idea? What do you think is happening here? Like my imaginary friend Daniel thinks there's 6 different things being measured. So he thinks there's 6 different things because there's 6 rectangles there. What do you think about that?
I disagree with Daniel.
Yeah?
I think perhaps there are 2 things being measured 3 times.
Okay, all right. Anybody else have an idea or a thought they want to share? Agree with Andre?
Yeah, I agree with that.
And why do you think that, Andre?
Well, because there's only 2 colors,
Okay.
and those colors are repeated, and so I'm going to guess that like there was a repetition, and we're comparing how things have changed over time.
Okay. All right, so it's going to be a versus time thing. Does anyone else have something that they think is happening? Yes.
Kind of made a connection to map data because typically the first map data of the year we see, we have a certain progress level. Then it usually dips after the second time, and then this is what we used to take 3 times. The third time it would be the highest.
Okay. So we definitely think that there's a time frame going down there. Does anyone think anything different? That it might not be a time frame?
Yeah, I thought maybe you polled 3 different groups of who likes math, who doesn't.
Okay.
So 3 different classes.
All right, so that might be a group of classes. So we're comparing different classes about the same thing. Okay. All right. Now what do you think? What do you think is going on now? Talk to someone sitting next to you.
I'm thinking different time periods. Evening.
which would be weird if you make so much juice in the yeah. Maybe it's
No,
2
I'm not
types of juice.
Or yes, consumption.
Yeah. It could still be 3 groups. It doesn't have to be where the day is.
Yeah, I'm thinking it might not be throughout the day, it's the evening. Whatever. Oh, but maybe there was no option for nothing.
All right, class.
Yes.
Anybody want to share some thoughts that they think is happening now?
Maybe it's how much juice 6th graders consume in the morning, noon, and evening.
Okay, so 3 different time periods of the
Yeah,
day.
so yellow could be juice, red could be another drink, or the other way around.
So we could have 3 different groups. We could have over time. Is anyone feeling anything different than that, or 3 times of the year? If you had to guess right now, would you who thinks it's time period? Okay. And who thinks it's maybe 3 different classes or something? All right, so now what's going on? What do you think?
So now we know.
What are you noticing? Talk to someone sitting next to you.
I don't know what we know. I know the same. I don't.
That this might have a crazier class. Unless the right-hand side is the juice, and Mr. Chen is the juice. I wonder if it's a different type of juice, just they were offered pineapple and strawberry juice. And these kids chose pineapple, these kids chose strawberry.
Yeah.
Kind of a funny thing to make down.
The only thing is that consumption is what kind of makes me think that's not
All right, class.
Yeah.
So people are definitely. Any other thoughts? And why are you thinking that way? Why were you thinking about like the before and after?
Well, because I was thinking of things that go down drastically like
Oh,
that.
okay.
If it were a time period, they would have had to be exposed to something to, unless
So you're
it,
seeing this big difference between
Yeah.
the yellow and the orange ones. And then
it
the
could
same
be
thing.
morning and night in that case too.
And why were you thinking about the two different types of juices or the? Well, so again, so this is a comparison of those two things. Yes.
We talked about the y-axis.
Okay.
At this point, there's no other information to uncover. What happened next was I had them fill out a worksheet. And so there actually wasn't any numbers on the graph that I started with, and they had to create their own numbers and kind of go through that. And so I have one question. So you can open up your devices. And I'm gonna, again, if you can open up your mail or your chat, your Google Hangouts, I'm gonna send a link real quick. We'll see if this works. I found this the other day. So. It looked neat. I just sent the link, and you could click on that link and fill out the question. How engaged were you? How engaged were you during that process?
Hey, it worked. I don't have you.
I didn't add you to the channel. No. I added you to the light rectangle hangout stat that I have. I asked my students afterwards, you know, how were you engaged with this lesson more than other ones? Because this was the first time we did it. And I know that some of this might be big. And so all of the kids, except for one, went with about the same. One of the things we talked about too mathy is if you, why bother? And so the idea is to take an interesting problem, an interesting worksheet problem. And so it's not like, oh, in the actual thing. And so the one student that said a little worse, I think that's my best math student. And I think that person said a little worse because they were no longer the master of the knowledge. Because they have so much knowledge when it comes to math, everyone turns to them for help. And no one was turning to them for help during the lesson because they all were starting at the same spot. And so we started the lesson, everyone had the same, they were able to guess, no one was wrong, it was all there. And so it was a safer space, and I don't think that student particularly liked it because they like helping, and they like teaching, and they like all of this stuff. And that was taken away from them. So, and I don't know that for a fact because they didn't put their name on it, but other people did put their name on it, and the writing looked like that student, and it kind of makes sense in my head. Any questions so far? No. Okay. The next part is I've created kind of a tutorial, a practice session, if you will, that I'm going to share with you. I'm actually going to share the document now through the Hangouts. And so kind of the idea is to work on your own at the beginning. So I've created just this slide. And so what I'm wanting to do is give you the opportunity just to practice the skills necessary to create a lesson like this. And so the idea is, here is a math problem that if we give someone, there's a lot of math on there. There's a lot of stuff happening. So what are some things that we can take away from it to make it a little more engaging and a little more, where kids are willing to risk giving some opinions and thinking about it. And so the one thing that I kind of messed up on my videos that I realized that today is the most important thing you have to do before you start this whole process of putting in a white rectangle, again I used green ones, so, but anyway, is this idea of you want to make sure you have 2 slides. Here. Because when you, and this is again why it was called the white rectangle, and you'll see this more in the video, but if you want to blop out some text, you just use a white. So what I want to give you the opportunity to do, and all of us, is what information would you take away from this document to make it more pleasing, to make it more intriguing, to make it more interesting to the kids. And the reason I'm giving everyone the same thing first is just so you can practice kind of doing the mechanics, getting things ready, and seeing what you would take away each slide. And maybe
I guess one because there's one bird that's like.
Oh yeah, that was just me being lazy, but I should have
you can create your imaginary friend that thinks only one
Okay.
is here, or that nobody left. There's going to be 7 left. Like,
So what? How would I? Okay, so how would I do imaginary friend at this point? If they say, well, 7 of them, or 1 because he's in the air.
yeah.
So
well,
then-
you can be like, well, I was talking to my imaginary friend, whomever, and he thought that there was 2. There was going to be 2 left. Could he be right, or is he wrong? And then you kind of offer that to the group.
Okay, and then the last one. I should probably erase 4 of those birds.
Not necessarily because they can still solve it.
They
You
can
can
still
now
solve
give
it.
that problem to
Yeah.
them, and then you get the feedback of if they got the
Now you
answer
can
right.
show me in a picture.
Okay. All right, that
Yeah.
was it. Thank you for helping me test it out.
I like how the order is mixed up rather than just like
Mhm.
first, middle, end. You know, it's
Yeah.
like you show the end first, you get some of the. It changes your concept of what the goal is.
Mhm.
I like that looked like a story in the beginning when you're doing that.
Yeah, no, I really like the
Yeah.
sentence by itself, just kind of there. It's cool.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
That imaginary friend is interesting.
The first time, did I tell you the first time I said Daniel? There was 2 kids in my class list. Have you seen that? You haven't heard anything about that?
Have you not seen
So there was these 2 14-year-olds, 2 14-year-old boys.
It's nothing. It's these 2 teenagers.
The other guy's on Snapchat, Instagram, records him walking
It's
out of
these
his
2 teenagers.
clothes and his
And
cool
one
white
of them
kid. He's like,
puts on the rock. And the other one
there's like 1,400 of those. They got an Ellen show. They did.
And he did something else. And that's all it is. And it's this thing.
Yeah, all my kids say.
No, yeah, that's all I'm saying. Damn, Benjamin. It's the thing. And they were on Ellen. And then he owns his white band, so white so band gave him Secret for Life. It's huge. Look it up, look up there. If you go to YouTube, go to there. That's all it is. It's just a nice thing.
It's like a guy supposed to be like try.
I don't know if they're rich, because I don't know who gives them money, but I guess,
The
yeah.
guy chugs a 40 whiskey or something, right? And he pretends to choke people all the time. What are those?
Yeah.
It'll be like out of nowhere.
That's all it is. That's it.
That's all they do.
That's it. And that blew up
Blew up.
in like 3 days.
My cousin's son. It was. He felt so self-conscious.
Is it the same kid? Like,
Yeah.
Isn't that,
That's hilarious how things can just blow up.
And now they're thing.
Oh, just you wanted to share
Moderation's nice.
Let me know when you're ready. Jesse would like to get some feedback on his lesson, so for those of us that want to participate. Space technology.
Think to yourself, what's happening with these images? What could we possibly do with these?
Close.
I think we have to take someone on a trip.
What do you think, Gunter?
I think we're gonna try to dress someone.
Dress somebody? Okay. Lena?
I don't know, I think like getting ready for the day.
Next slide, please. All right, we just had two little things pop up there.
Ooh.
Yeah, you really have to pay attention to this.
Let's say
50.
350 G's.
350, it says 300G underneath the shoe and it says 50G underneath the ticket.
We're gonna weigh something.
We're gonna waste something. Very nice. Anybody else?
I think the lunchbox is going to be the heaviest thing.
Okay, fair enough. Want to go to the next slide?
Damn it.
Not enough. It wasn't the lunchbox, was it? Which one was it? Or heavy thing?
Pants?
Pants?
Jeans. No, the jacket.
Jeans? Oh, I didn't see that.
What do you think now, Gunter?
Is that an axe or a toothbrush?
Toothbrush.
Looks like
Let's go to the next slide.
Yeah. Lost it.
I think we're leaving home. We're only allowed a certain amount.
What are you gonna choose?
Like a
Okay,
weight limit.
I think
weight
the-
limit on Mars
the
versus
weight's gonna
Earth.
be different in Mars.
Yeah.
Gravity.
Gravity.
Are we talking about mass versus weight?
All right. Next slide. What does that say?
You've been chosen as one of the first passengers to travel to Mars.
You've been chosen.
Already been chosen. You're the chosen
Sorry.
one. How am I gonna?
Tom, what's next? We only have one way.
Oh, sorry.
We have to choose what to bring? We have to,
How much we can bring?
Think how much we can bring?
Is it
What's
cold?
it say off to the right there?
What would you bring, Gunter?
Oh, that's.
Save there, obviously.
The jacket's really heavy, so maybe the pajamas, the big blue things in the middle.
Seems realistic.
Could be super cold on Mars though.
Is this all I'm taking or just my personal items? Or NASA sending me with this?
I don't know.
Me neither.
Let's go to the final
Sounds
slide.
dangerous.
Space technology will let you take only 1 kilogram of luggage. What things can you pick in your backpack to take with you that will weigh 1 kilogram or less? Cool.
yeah.
So I can bring pants and pajamas.
Fuck you. How much is that?
We're gonna have to change that one.
It's on air.
Cool.
I know, that's such a kid product.
Hey, but you know what you could do? So, Jesse, what's the point that they come up with a list of everything they could bring? Like all the different combinations?
Could be. This is something we pull off of next week's math
Are exactly
lessons.
1 kilogram?
Yep. Take you only 1 kilo.
Yeah, but that's what you could do if someone finishes in a second. And you're like,
Yeah.
well, what's the most you can bring? What's the least?
Yeah, what's the most amount of items you could
The
bring?
most amount of items, the least amount of items.
If you prefer nudity, what is that going to look like?
Not big
With a
enough.
teddy bear.
What are the ramifications
Just
of
the
choosing
toothbrush.
certain items?
There you go.
Yeah.
Why is there no spacesuit?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Okay, for the last 10 minutes, if we could, I'm going to send you a survey. This is called kind of pluses and it's called deltas. They don't call it minuses. Deltas are like change. So if you could fill it out, and then maybe we'll talk about it. I don't know. But it's basically going to ask you. Wait, did I do this right? It's going to ask you 2 questions. Again, your name's optional. You don't have to put it on. What helped you learn today, and what action occurred to allow that to happen? And then what should we change to help you learn better, and what action can we take to prevent whatever caused you not to learn? I guess I could have phrased that a little bit better. So if you take a moment for like some personal reflection, and you can fill out the form, and then if we want to talk about it, we can. We don't have to. I want to start using these in my in the class and team meetings, TLT stuff, just to see. It's a really good check-in as a team to see how things are working and what needs to to change. So I just sent the link in the Hangout, so if you could fill that out for me, I would appreciate it.
Are you gonna show up?
I wasn't going to. I was torn. Probably not.
No, do. Never mind.
No,
No, I'm not doing it. I already did mine.
I would agree with you. I thought you spelled pluses with 2 S's, but then it says red underline, so I guess it's 1. It's weird. So, pluses.
Pluses is 2 S's.
No, it gave me the red squiggly.
Wow.
I mean, that could just be my reliance on technology, and I didn't investigate it. But
Deuces.
It is 2 S's.
It is 2 S's? It is.
man, maybe I had it on Spanish keyboard. No, like that sometimes it'll do it. All right, so I apologize. Yeah. I'd like to see the session guide like get updated more so that you know, or like we had a common place to like, if I at the last minute wanted to make a change on it, then you would be alerted and get to know something. Because yeah, so I'll definitely pass that along.
But I feel like too, like with this one, like word problems are good with this. Like you would have word problems, so like I would know to bring like some kind of application problem.
Yeah. Yeah, Ty, I wasn't expecting the first part to go that long. I thought you were gonna have more independent work time. So, but no, that was something that.
And I was gonna write, I'm gonna get around your little question, I was writing this random comment.
All feedback. No, but I think there's always room to make something better.
Yeah.
So, wouldn't even thought of note taking. I guess as people are wrapping up and before we leave, there was just one last thing I wanted to show you. And it was this, the call to action little part. What I made was a Google group. And so if you are going to try some lessons or you want to share ideas about this sort of engagement, all you have to do is click on that and then ask to join, and then I'll approve it. And the idea is like we could have lesson ideas. If you tried it and it didn't go well, or it went really well, a place to kind of celebrate and share some ideas on what we're doing. Maybe posting, hey, I'm going to try this out on Tuesday at 9 if anyone's available to come in and kind of talk to the kids and see how they like it. So I was wanting to create some sort of space where we can collaborate, work together, and so that was what I came up with. I know it's yet another site to go to see things. I get that. But if it's something you want to do, cool, and if not, that is A-okay as well.
How do you get there?
On the document,
Oh, okay.
call to action, you just click on the link that is there. Lastly, I know James had a question about something I did with like the YouTube video stuff. If you want to know any of that, just email me or ask me. I'm more than happy to share that. And then finally, when we were talking about like engagement and which engagement works better or whatnot, my one thought that I was going to try was have each kid having a note card, an index card, because in elementary we don't have enough tech. And I want something that's like on a daily thing. And they would make a grid on it, and then they would just, maybe at the end of every lesson, or that I tried this, how engaged were you 1 to 4? And so they could fill it out, and then I would have it there and I could look at it. And it wouldn't be as intriguing to me as the digital form with graphs and everything, but it would be something. I could do a quick check to see which kids are finding it engaging, or maybe what way I did it was more engaging, maybe covering up all of it, or trying different patterns or ways to release information for word problems. So that was one thing I came up with. Again, if you have an idea about trying to figure out what our impact is, I mean, that would be a place to kind of share it too. So, and again, I recorded it, so if you want people to watch it, I'll have it in the folder. And thank you very much for coming with an open mind and willing to work, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Eat your sandwich if you're in elementary.
Will you wait for me? I'll just give you one.